Men are superior to women. Welcome to A Side Salad, the short, sharp, and sometimes spicy segment of the Salad Bowl podcast, where we chew on big questions in bite-sized servings. Let's just start with the title. Men are superior to women. If you're still listening, then you probably fall into one of a few categories. One, maybe you're an entitled, ego-driven man searching for logic, science, or some ancestral birthright to validate that belief. Or two, maybe you might be a woman rightfully pissed off hearing this and thinking, excuse me? Or three, maybe you're just a curious soul wondering what the conversation is really about. Wherever you land, welcome. This topic is both uncomfortable and necessary because it forces us to look at the world not just as it should be, but as it is. Let's just take a look at some real numbers, a snapshot of who holds the power in our society today. Fortune 500 CEOs, roughly 86% to 96% are men. These are the decision makers of the corporate world, the ones that drive billion-dollar strategies, and almost none of them are women. How about sports team owners? Over 90% are men. This isn't just about owning a team, it's about owning influence, legacy, and often an entire city's fan base, and the gate is heavily guarded by men. Now, what about military leadership? About 83% of all military personnel are male, but when you look at the senior leadership, that number shoots up north of 97%. In a structure built on rank and hierarchy, the top continues to reflect the same demographic, overwhelmingly male. Now, what about political positions? Roughly 75% of elected officials, Congress members, governors, top policymakers are men. That means 3 out of the 4 people writing, debating, and passing the laws that govern our daily lives are male. And finally, religious leadership. In most major traditions, from Catholicism to Islam to Orthodox Judaism, the highest roles of spiritual authority are still predominantly male. Whether it's leading a congregation or interpreting doctrine, the pattern remains. Men hold the mic. So let's ask the real question. Is this dominance the result of a biological superiority? Or is this the result of systems built to produce these outcomes? My take, this isn't about one gender having more talent than the other. It's about access, expectation, and opportunity. It's a system, consciously or unconsciously, that sets up men to win more often. And not because they're better, but because the game was made for them. Let's look at something simple, something so basic it's easy to overlook. Toys. What do we give our kids when they're young? We give our girls easy bake ovens, Barbie dolls, makeup sets, baby dolls, purses, princess dresses, basically domestic tools and toys that trend towards appearance management. Boys, we give toy guns, power tools, cars and trucks, construction kits, action heroes, military figurines, and video games. Basically tools of exploration, domination, and building. One set of toys is about caretaking and prettiness, and the other is about action, decision-making, and leadership. Now ask yourself, which child is being conditioned to run that Fortune 500 company? If you're a parent, let me ask you a few rhetorical questions. 1, would it bother you if your daughter played with toy trucks, a toy gun, or even a construction set? Most would say no. But would it bother you if your son played with a Barbie doll or asked for a makeup set? We already know what the general answer tends to be, and those answers tell us something very critical. Even in the toy aisle, we place different value on masculinity and femininity. We say it's fine for girls to aspire up to traditionally masculine roles, but when a boy aspires sideways or down to traditionally feminine spaces, we panic, we ridicule, and we redirect. So again, I ask, if one direction is encouraged and the other is discouraged, doesn't that tell us which gender we see as having more inherent value? And listen, this isn't about blaming parents or shaming anyone's choices. I'm not telling you what toys to buy your children. I'm just inviting you to zoom out, to ask yourself, what messages are being reinforced in my home, in my school, in my community that might make it harder for my daughter to become a CEO or make it taboo for my son to be nurturing, expressive, or emotionally intelligent? Because ultimately, this isn't just about power or statistics. It's about possibility. I want my daughter to have the same shot at being a CEO as my son does. And I want my son to be able to cry, create, to care without shame. So no, I don't believe that men are superior to women, but I do believe society often acts like they are. And that's the system we need to name, challenge, and evolve. Look, if this stirred something in you, good. That means we're chewing on something real. Let me know what your thoughts are. Let's keep the conversation fresh, full of flavor, and always up for another bite. Again, I'm your host, Kevin Thompson, and I am doing my best at normalizing authenticity. From this message alone, some would label me woke or maybe even a feminist. Not only will I gladly accept those titles, though they get thrown around in a negative fashion. If I've learned anything in my last 20 years of my military career, it would be that attention to detail is the key, which speaks to awareness of my surroundings and the details of them. I couldn't possibly be that if I were asleep. So woke is a fitting description. And as far as being a feminist, defined as the advocacy of women's rights on the basis of equality of sexes, I have sworn to defend the rights of Americans throughout my years. And the last I checked, there wasn't a clause that told me to choose one gender over the other. So if your first inclination is to label me as one of those terms, be sure not to forget ally. For now, this has been another Side Salad, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode of the Salad Bowl Podcast.